I have a question for you. Is fear stopping you in your tracks at this time in your business? It could even be in your life, but I want to talk specifically about your business today because here is what I have learned. Fear is sneaky. It shows up in ways that we don't often expect. It shows up in ways that we don't even often think about as fear. And so in this video today, I want to share with you not only how to recognize fear, but how to overcome fear. And I want to show you that fear is really just a precursor to, it's like a resistance to something bigger and better. Oh my goodness, it has been showing up a lot for me lately. And it's so interesting because I talk about fear all the time, and I get asked on podcasts that I'm a guest on a lot about fear. Like, how did you overcome fear in 40 years of business? And you talk about all these things that you've done. How did you overcome the fear? And I always give this response. Fear is like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets, and the more you'll be able to push through, right? The more you'll be able to break down those walls. But it's really interesting because lately fear has been showing up in my business, and it has been very unexpected for me. And so I thought this would be a great thing to teach you, because it does not matter what level you are going to in your business. Fear is going to be sneaky, and it's going to find a way to weasel into your head, into your mind, right? And everything is here, everything. So I want you to know, first of all, that fear doesn't always look like fear. Sometimes it shows up like people pleasing. Sometimes it shows up as hesitation. You're not taking actions or moves that you know you need to be taking. And sometimes it shows up as self-doubt, or a lot of people would say like imposter syndrome. Like, I'm not good enough. Who am I, right? Who am I to be doing this? And so lately, I have been feeling like fear has kind of shown up in all these different ways for me. And I've had to really push through and do the work to get through the other side. Now, I don't know how you get through fear, and I'm going to share some ways for you to get through fear, to recognize it and get through it. But for me, when I recognize it, I deal with fear through prayer. That has always been my go-to. God has always guided me. God has always helped me make the right moves and take the right steps and push through that fear. Because here's what I know. Fear is not from God, first of all. Fear is, it is a liar. There was a song that came out a few years ago, Fear is a Liar. And it is, because it's not from God. So if you are being called to step into bigger things, if you are excited about something in your next level, but you're not taking the actions, you're not finding yourself making the moves that you need to make, you've probably got some fear that has snuck in to your mindset. So here are some things that happened to me recently, and maybe you'll be able to relate to these things as well. So something came up where all of a sudden I found myself thinking about like people pleasing. Now, I know the top 1% of people aren't people pleasers, because look, if you're going to do big things, everybody will not like you. If you're going to do big things, it's going to be uncomfortable because there will be people that will judge you. That is something that you will just have to understand and overcome if you're going to really play at your full potential. So you have to look at it and say, that's about them. That is not about me. And often we put those things on ourselves, like, what are they going to think? And if I take this action, am I going to offend somebody? Or is this not going to resonate with them in the way that, they'll take it right? And that's all part of people pleasing, right? But here's the thing. That's not going to serve you and where you're supposed to go, because we all have different journeys. We all have different goals, and we all have different things that we're supposed to accomplish and achieve with our talents, with our skills. Your game is not my game. My game is not your game, right? But people pleasing can stop you in your tracks, because we're not called to people please when we're being called to something bigger, if that makes sense. I know it sounds a little bit contradictory, But the reality is everyone is not going to love you. That's not even possible. Why? Because people have their own issues. So for example, if you got online and you said, I'm going for $1 million day. That's one of my goals. I'm going for $1 million day. How many people would probably judge you for that, right? There would be a lot of people like, you just care about money and you're greedy. And people would have all of these judgments that they would put on you. And then all of a sudden, and this is the second point, you might find yourself shrinking back. Oh my, I ruffled people's feathers. Oh my, and that's all part of people pleasing, right? And so now you find yourself actually shrinking back your goals, not putting yourself out there the way you need to put yourself out there, not sharing who you are and what you're all about and where you're going and how you can help people and all of the things that we're called to do when we're called to play at a higher level. And recently this came up for me. I'm working on some things and I ruffled someone's feathers. And it's someone, here's the really crazy thing. It's someone that I really respect. And we even talked about partnering at one time in our business. But for whatever reason, I ruffled her feathers. Now, I realized as I really looked underneath the hood and I dug into it a little bit more, I realized that that was more about her insecurity. All of a sudden, she felt threatened by what I was doing. And I found myself at first like, okay, well, maybe I should shift this or tweak this or go about this a different way. And really, that was a couple of months ago. And for a couple of months, I've been pondering this and sitting on it and not worried about it, but just thinking, okay, maybe I just need to go a little bit of a different direction. And here's what God really showed me. That's not from me, Anne. That just because someone else has insecurities or feels threatened about the direction that you're going, that's not from me. And what I realized is, no, I have every right to move in the direction that I'm going. I have the capabilities, I have the skills, I have the experience. And just because you've done something similar in a different way, and there are no two people alike, right? And none of us do anything exactly the same. Just because what we're doing is similar doesn't mean that I should not move in that same direction. And this is a big one. This is a big one to really understand because we are in a competitive world. Every market, every industry, there is competition out there that is fierce, right? But when I really looked back at all the years of experience and all the things that I've done and accomplished, I thought, I have every right to step into this. I have every right to be moving this direction. I have every right when I look at the results that I've achieved. I have every right to do this, right? And so that's something that they will have to deal with. It has nothing to do with me. It's about them and their insecurities. And so I want to warn you because this was something that I really struggled with. And I really didn't think fear came in to my business very much anymore because I've come through an awful lot. I could share so many stories. You can hear so many stories on other shows and videos that I've talked about, ways that I've overcome fear. But people pleasing, shrinking back, those are big ones. All right, the third way fear just showed up for me recently is I'm working on my fourth book. And I really have been struggling with the content and the title, more the title, because I didn't want to give off the wrong impression. And so I've gone back and forth and just really struggled with it. And long story short, again, it was just fear that reared its ugly head and started giving me sort of that self-doubt about things. And I let it creep in. I did recognize it, I did pray through it, and I overcame it. But that was exactly what inspired me to actually do this video for you, because I know it's showing up for you too. Every time you are getting ready to go to a new level, it doesn't matter how far you are, you will always have another fear. And you will have to recognize that fear, and you'll have to be able to break it down and look at it for what it is. Look at what's underneath it. Look at what's hidden behind it. And then you have to push through it, because nothing great is going to happen if you let it stop you in your tracks. Nothing. You'll never get very far. You'll never reach your full potential. You'll never break through. You won't become the person you're even supposed to become. You won't have the business you're supposed to have if you continue to let it stop you. And I see so many people that do this. I know people that have been in business for years and years that are amazing. They have so much to offer, but they won't step through fear. They won't do things that would move them forward. Maybe that's investing. Sometimes that's investing in a big way in a mentor or a coach that can get you further. They'll make little bitty investments, or they'll hide behind, I can justify getting better at my thing, but I can't justify spending money or investing money to get better in business, which doesn't make any sense, right? But I see that out there. I see brilliant people coming from their careers that want to step into entrepreneurship, but they don't do it because fear holds them back, or they dabble in it. Like, they'll get their offers created, but they never get their offers out there for anyone to buy them, or they hide behind maybe social media posts, but they don't put themselves out there on video. They don't get into the spotlight. They don't let people see them and really get to know them. And so all of that is shrinking back and playing small. I see people do this on social media. Facebook is a good one for this. They'll say, I'm not going to use my personal profile for business because I have a lot of friends and family and I don't want them to see. Really? Well, then you're not really in business. Because if you're in business, why would you not take advantage of those free resources? And who knows, you might inspire your friends and your family to do what you're doing. And who knows who they might know that they might want to send your way. And who knows, they might want to buy your services. But all of a sudden, you're shrinking back because you're afraid you might ruffle somebody's feathers, or you're afraid somebody might unfriend you because they don't want to see your business stuff. And all of these things are really fear. They're just really fear that are sneaky and are just showing up in these ways. So break down the fear, look at it for what it is, look at what is underneath it. And then I want you to think about shifting your perspective. Instead of thinking about, I'm scared, I'm afraid to do this, think about what will happen when you accomplish that. Think about, instead of I'm scared, think about I'm expanding, I'm growing. Like, shift that perspective that you have. Also, call it out when you recognize fear and what it is. Call it out and just say, wow, this is just fear sneaking in again. This is what I had to do, right? Wow, Ann, I can't even believe all the fear, all the things you've come through in business over 40 years, and you're letting this sneak in again. But, it's sneaky, right? So you don't always see it for fear right at the beginning. The other thing is do it anyway. Move forward anyway. Just like I finally had to say, you know what, that's more about that person than it is about me and where I'm supposed to go and my journey and what I'm supposed to be building here. That's about them. They'll have to overcome that. And so just move forward anyway. Fear loses its grip when you take action despite of it. It just loses its grip. It loses its juice, right? And then always remember your bigger mission. See, I know where God wants me to go. I know what He's got for me. Now, I can't always see everything the way He can, but I do trust Him because He has shown me over and over again in my business how faithful He is, and that He always has the best intentions for me. Always has the best intentions for me. And He is a God of abundance, right? And so if I trust that, and again, for me, that is the way I get through fear. I don't know how you get through fear, but for me, it's prayer, it's trusting God, and it's moving beyond it. And people need what you have. So when you think about your bigger mission, I didn't get all this experience and learn everything I've learned to just keep it to myself and just not share it, I don't believe we're ever called for that, right? And so I know that I have a mission, that I'm on point for a mission, and you are too. So think about, what is the fear stopping you right now? Think about what's underneath that, and then shift the perspective. Move forward anyway, because the best things are going to be on the other side of that. And always remember your bigger mission and where you really want to go. And finally, when you think about fear, it's a liar. It's sneaky. It's not real. It's not real. It's here. It's just here. Okay, I hope you found this valuable. Where has fear been showing up for you lately? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear how you're navigating it. And look, if you found this helpful, share it with someone else who needs the reminder that fear is just a sign of leveling up. Let's level you up. Today is your day to do big things, and I am cheering you on. Go get them. Have an amazing day. God bless you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.